Yeah! What's happening? It's Dareth back at it with some Marvel Snap, and in today we need an emergency meeting. It is patch day. We had patch just last night, and some most recent changes into the Marvel Snap does make or break some different key decks that have been rocking into the Infinite series. So overall, we got some of these characters that have been adjusted, so we'll be going through some buffs and nerfs today. We do also have the Heroes for Hire event that we're going to go a little bit more in-depthly on as well. And overall, some big changes in Marvel Snap. So we're going to get right on into it, guys. Let's get you over to the patch notes. So patch notes right now are just exclusively online. I imagine they'll be posting something on the official Marvel Snap website, but right now we are just utilizing the Marvel Snap Reddit page. So first things first, one huge thing I want to call out is the Nexus event compensation. So as you guys know, the Nexus events were, to put it lightly, a little too pricey, and to put it greatly, it was way too expensive. So the fact that they decided to scrap the Nexus events does mean we'll see some good potential changes in the future, how they decide to monetize the game. But any gold that you were spending on the Nexus events has been returned as of last night into some this morning. So additionally, that also means that Jane Foster has been granted to all players, regardless if you participated in that Nexus event. And for any new player, you'll be able to get her in the Pool 3 category. So Jane Foster, pretty decent card. See her sometimes in some Mr. Negative decks, but can be some fun combo plays with the regular Thor as well. So as far as, again, some game updates, we got a few more minor tweaks, but more than anything, we got the buffs and nerfs that we'll be considering. So overall, you can see your card backs and opponents on the game screen. That's fine. Season Pass changes a little bit here as well. Retreat option when the opponent snaps back. That's pretty nice, as I think I got stuck behind that a few different times. Some of the typical art and visual upgrades with Colossus, Collector, Black Widow, Arnim Zola, and Cerebro. For those, a little bit minor, but some fun additions in the game, as well as some audio updates too. So Human Torch and the Collector having their own voice over, and some variety with the in-game announcer, the Snap voice. So overall, pretty fun that we'll be seeing some additional changes with for sure. But we're actually going to get right into the buffs and nerfs, right? That's what we want to know, right? So first one on the list is Collector. So Collector, one of the hardest cards to interact with as far as when you're going against him. So the fact that he did see this nerf does mean some potential changes in the meta, right? You've been seeing Collector in a lot of these Wong discard decks, as he was just gaining a little too much power in the developers' spirits. So originally was a 2/0 creature, or excuse me, character, and has now been adjusted to 2/1. Reasons being is they adjusted when a card enters your hand from anywhere except your deck +2 power. They have changed it over to +1 power instead. So hoping that this will kind of balance out the high potential that the Collector brings to the game, and hopefully this makes or breaks some good changes in the metagame as well. Next on our list is Hellcow. So man, oh man, she was nerfed very much so, and as we all imagined, it was bound to happen. Just offering way too much potential, being at 2 mana. Now being at 4 mana does make it a lot easier, maybe a little too strong. Maybe they could have done something like a, 3 mana, 4 power, and kept the discard 2 card effect. Maybe just nerfing some of that power might have balanced her out a little bit more so, but her main game plan was just being the fact that she offers so much power with 6, and the fact that we wanted to be discarding 2 cards from our hand in the likes of Apocalypse and Swarm, maybe even to buff up a strong guy was pretty nice. Now the fact that Strong Guy and Hellcow are both at 4 mana means it's going to be really tough to pull out that double combo action. So a little upset on Hellcow, but overall probably a good change for the game's future. Next we got Kingpin. So I was a little surprised by Kingpin just because I didn't feel like he was necessarily that strong to begin with. So the fact that they made this adjustment on him was interesting to me. So now when a card moves here on turn 6, destroy it. So originally he had the on reveal effect of the next turn, if a card moved to his location, then he would destroy it. Now being only exclusive to turn 6 may or may not be what you want to do, but for me, I feel like it's limiting a little bit more. What's nice is, you know, by turn 6, you're going to be able to utilize his combo, but on some of those earlier turns, you won't be able to rock out some stomps anymore, which was a little disappointing in my opinion, but an interesting change nonetheless. We'll see if we can slot him into some of our future Kingpin decks to see if he's still worthy of an addition to our decks. So next we have Colleen Wing, if wants to decide to show up. Come on now. She was adjusted a little interestingly, and overall they kind of did some changes to the discard theme. So changing the curve of Calling Wing from 3 mana previously to now 2 mana and 5 power recently to now 4 power. So the fact that she is discarding the lowest cost card from our hand was likely going to be Swarm if we chopped him up early. So being able to do this a little earlier on may or may not be what we're looking to do, but seemed, even when you were playing her on turn 3, it didn't feel as great. So maybe playing her at turn 2 instead will be the difference that we're looking for. So interesting adjustment nonetheless. Next we have Lizard. So Lizard always used by your opponent's bots, never used by a player it seemed. So developers did want to change that out. So previously he was a 2 mana 4 power character, now adjusted to 2 mana 5 power. So ongoing effect of -3 power if your opponent has 4 cards here means that a lot of the time he was only a wimpy 2 power 2 mana character. So the fact that they made that adjustment is hoping to slot him in to be a little bit stronger, but we'll see if we see that in any real decks or if that's going to stick around in just the bot decks. But interesting nonetheless. The fact that he has that ongoing ability may mean he's going to be a little bit better in some of the Spectrum decks that are out there. Next on our list, we have some interesting ones. So I was a little surprised by Nakia being nerfed. So previously she was giving all cards in her hand +2 power. Now she is only offering 2 cards in her hand +2 power. So a lot of the times with Nakia, you would just hang on to your hand until turn 3, being able to drop her on turn 3 to really buff up your hand, and therefore the match was a little too reliable in the developer's eyes. So adjusting her to only granting 2 cards in her hand +2 power was an interesting change. We'll see how much it affects the gameplay. My guess is we'll see a whole lot less of Nakia, just kind of like we see a whole lot less of Okoye since her most recent adjustment as well. So interesting change. We'll see how that affects us in the future. Next one on the buffs and nerfs list is a huge buff, in my opinion, to Rescue. So Rescue previously being a 5 mana 5 power character, now being adjusted to 4 mana 4 power, is, I truly think, going to be a key difference. Turn 5, you usually wanted to be doing something a little bit stronger than only 5 power, potentially turning into 10. So the fact that it is now 4 mana means we might be able to sneak out and buff out our Rescue a little bit earlier on. Maybe can do some double triggering as well in order to buff her up even more. But I do truly think that a 4 mana 9 power character can make or break some games for you. So we'll play around with her a little bit more and see if she is worth the adjustment. And lastly on our list, we got Swordmaster. So another discard themed card that they decided to adjust. So Swordmaster, previously being a 4 mana, 7 power character, now being adjusted to a 3 mana, 6 power character, does mean I will likely be playing him a little bit more so. So the fact that 6 power is pretty relevant on turn 3, and discarding a card from our hand means we'll see him in some hella discard decks more than likely, as that's rocking a lot of power underneath Invisible Woman. So playing this out a little earlier too does feel better, and kind of flip-flopping when you play Swordmaster into Hellcow. So now being Colleen Wing on turn 2, Swordmaster on turn 3, and Hellcow on turn 4 kind of changes up the curve a little bit more so, and we'll see some interesting changes with this style of discard deck going out there. But overall, some pretty significant buffs and nerfs. I think the most relevant one out there is that Hellcow being pretty detrimental to her game sake. And overall, yeah, a little bit of an interesting one to go so high on the cost, similar to what Strong Guy saw in the last patch. So we'll see what sort of differences we see going in the future. But that's what we got for the buffs and nerfs, guys. We're gonna head on over to the Heroes for Hire updates here. So just wanted to give you guys a little bit more in-depth breakdown as far as what we are seeing on the breakdown for this particular event. So pretty cool display, kind of like the arcade theme that they offered here from Heroes for Hire. So you can kind of get into these phases and whatnot, right? And it's kind of scored out based off of your point total and how often you're using the Heroes for Hire characters. So more specifically, here is the goals that you're looking for if you're looking to maximize the Heroes for Hire gameplay. So winning cubes in matches to deal damage to villains. Loss of cubes will also be counted, so it is your net positive amount of cubes. If you include the characters below in your deck to double your damage, this multiplier also impacts losses. Character lists: Daredevil, Misty Knight, Punisher, Luke Cage, White Tiger, Iron Fist, Jessica Jones, Colleen Wing, She-Hulk, Shang-Chi, and Wong. So as you can see, they kind of hinted at some cards that may be a little early, those being Luke Cage as well as She-Hulk. So those cards coming to the game will make this event a little bit easier, and we love to try out new cards, right? So I think that will be a pretty fun addition in order to, again, maximize this Heroes for Hire event. But they don't have any rewards attached to this quite yet. It's a little bit more for bragging rights, being at the first of the Heroes for Hire list. But they said maybe in the near future, if everybody likes this style, they may add some rewards to it in the future. But overall, pretty interesting events. Get to see some cool art variants as well as some cool profile pics from our characters in this event. So not too bad of an addition into Marvel Snap. But that's what we got for you guys today. We're going to end it there. Let me know down in the comments section below what you guys think of the most recent patch notes. Do you like the changes you see, the nerfs and or buffs on the likes of Hellcow, Collector, Colleen Wing, all these different ones, making or breaking some of the key decks that have been rocking around in Infinite? But overall, guys, like and subscribe for more. We're going to be back real soon with some more Marvel Snap content, and we'll see you there. Thanks, guys.